Right, let me get this straight. No, actually, let me get this pansexual. So only biological women can go to this gym. So do I go to my doctors and get a sort of like chromosome card, or do I sort of yank out a used tampon there and then? Oh, sign me up. Girl, be for real. Well, what's up, rebels? My name's Willy and I am one half of Leo and Willy. We are engaged, we are queer, and today I am here to share my thoughts on the Natalee Barnett gym story. Who's Natalee Barnett? I hear you shout from your screens. Natalee is an online fitness influencer, and considering my hypothetical death row meal includes just a skin of fried chicken, one that's never showed up on my algorithm. But there's been some outrage with her new trans exclusionary gym, and alas, our worlds collide. Honestly, Natalee, I would have preferred it under better circumstances. I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. As a cis person, these things also annoy me and also make me very uncomfortable. If you are wondering why, as a cis person, I have they in my pronouns, I have actually put an explanation up on my community post once upon a time, so feel free to check that out after this video. But for now, we're going to be talking about Natalee Barnett because I have some thoughts. These thoughts will be unscripted, unfiltered, as per usual, and for that reason, it's a conversation. So if you want to pause me, just pause me and share whatever you want to share. And hey, if you can keep it respectful, then there could be a really great opportunity for us all to learn and grow together. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. Natalee is a fitness influencer who had this really ambitious vision of creating a girls-only safe space gym. This was in direct response to the sex-related, gender-related harassment that she was receiving in gender-neutral spaces. From the beginning of just the conceiving of this concept, Natalee received support. People were saying this idea was inspired. They could see why this would be a good thing, and specifically during its infancy, and I want to make that clear, infancy, it absolutely did market itself as a very inclusive place. She specifically went out of her way to inform people that this would also be a space that was inclusive of trans women. Of course. To quote her in 2021, she said, "I don't see trans women as trans women, I see trans women and women. And if you identify as a woman, then you are of course welcome." Now, if you wish to, you could dissect this further and say, actually, there are some issues with it anyway. And I'm going to break that into two categories. One category being trans women and women. It's still quite exclusionary. It solidifies a very clear, distinct difference. I think what would have been more inclusive language just to say trans women are women. And then on the other end of it, I think not everybody is from our community. Not everybody is well versed in how to be the most inclusive or how to use the most inclusive friendly language. So there has to be grace. Overall, we are happy. She says that this is going to be a space that is safe for all women, and specifically trans women, which is great because trans women are incredibly harassed. So I love that. I love that this is a great space, right? Nice little cute story so far, right? Wrong! Naturally, people are supportive and happy about this, especially that it's an inclusive space. She runs a GoFundMe to help fund this, and it receives a decent amount of donations from at least 103 people. I want to also just share my own personal thoughts towards people who don't necessarily think that a women's only space in general is a good idea. Just as a bit of anecdotal evidence, if you will. I used to swim a lot as a kid, especially when I lived with my mom. There was just a local swimming pool that I used to go to, and because I enjoyed lanes and building up my muscle and whatever, back in the days, you know what I mean, what happens? Chicken, babes, chicken happened. Anyways, I really enjoyed it, and Thursdays was the allocated Women's Day, and the people that I would tend to see tend to be older women or people who I perceive, and I will say perceive because I can't really be sure, to be of the Islamic faith. And the reason for that is because it's haram, and haram is just against Allah's will, to show anything, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but the face and the hands to any other man who isn't, your husband. And so it's considered unlawful. And so that space provides a place for people who are of the Islamic faith, or maybe older women who are a little bit uncomfortable around men, I don't know, to swim and live their best lives. On these days, literally, there will be no male workers. They would go. I tend to swim throughout the whole day. I've been there for like 4 hours once, so I was there when men were there and then left and then the women arrived. And I've just got to say, as a concept, I think that's really cool. I think it's multi-faith inclusive. I'm not a Muslim, but I acknowledge people are, and so I think that's really cool and really, you know, progressive. In my personal opinion, that's an example of where the concept and the execution of it can be pretty great and pretty helpful for a lot of people, right? What isn't great is what Natalee Barnett did. So after years of fundraising and marketing under the guise of inclusivity, Natalee suddenly announces that this gym would actually only be for biological women.
Our women's only gym will be operating as a single-sex space for biological women.
Again, this is after the guise of inclusivity and raising funds under the inclusivity, which means that there could be trans women who have actively funded a space that actively excludes them. I think that is disgusting. It doesn't take a genius to realize why that is completely ethically wrong. But we also have to acknowledge that there is absolutely a subcategory of cis women who only care about cis women. So to you, I'm talking directly to you now, I'm going to let you know exactly what that looks like. An invasive, highly unethical screening based on what? Discriminative genealogy, or the one that will absolutely affect you most. So listen up, because I know this is the bit you actually care about, the aesthetic screening. And I imagine the aesthetic screening is something like looking someone up and down and judging strictly on aesthetics alone, whether they are women enough to enter that gym. Be for fucking real. Stop that behavior. Which means an aesthetic standard is automatically enforced onto you. And if you do not look biological enough, you could be turned away from entering the gym. I want to highlight the absolute hypocrisy of all of this. Natalee is someone who has experienced judgment and harassment based strictly on their gender. So to combat that, she creates a place that inadvertently polices, judges, and harasses people strictly on their gender.
She's got a point.
Interesting. I also want to highlight the fact that transvestigations, which for those of you who've never heard that term, is basically the nonsensical process of trying to work out who's trans and who's not. Transvestigations like disproportionately affects Black people so much more. Natalee, you're also a Black woman yourself, and trust me, I don't want to do this Black on Black violence, but sometimes, hey, Black women have consistently been transvestigated through media forever, because Black women tend to have larger bones. Black people in general tend to have larger bones and different structures, and there is a Eurocentric standard of beauty rooted strictly in white supremacy that has always excluded us. So I don't know why you would do anything to perpetuate that. It's stupid, it's uneducated, and you're showing your ignorance. Michelle Obama is just one example of a Black public figure who has consistently been transvestigated, but I will give you a more recent example.
They came in here in the girls' restroom because I'm a girl and they didn't think I was a girl, so they tried to come take me away because I'm a girl.
A woman's story recently went viral on TikTok because she was removed from a women's bathroom. As a mask-presenting stud, the only people that were actually men were the officers who were asking her to leave. This next bit really boils my blood, but I'm going to include it because, like I said, there is a specific subcategory of cis women who only care about cis women. So let me give you some facts. This cis woman walked into a bathroom and officers asked her to leave. The next bit, which boils my blood, is the fact that because she was being harassed and to prove her biology, she actually lifted up her top to try and prove, hey, I'm a woman. And one of the officers disgustingly said back, still look like a man. That is the world that we are creating, and that world is disgusting. How do you prevent that, Natalee? How? You know, what ethical systems do you have in place to stop cis women, you know, the one that you clearly only care about, from being harassed in that sense as well? You know, what thinking have you done? What's your thought process? Let us know, because what you are doing is perpetuating harmful ideology surrounding what it means to be a woman. You are creating super anti-feminist standards. You are perpetuating white supremacy standards that doesn't even identify you or I. So you're making us both look stupid. Get educated. This is stupid. There is such a spectrum of how women women show up. And you know what? I'm entertaining you again. Biological women. There is even a spectrum of how biological women show up. Some people are masc presenting. Some people have PCOS and produce hair in spaces that society has deemed masculine. Some intersex people have chromosomes that don't fit your binary rules. So what happens then? This is my issue with it, is people, they say these things, but they don't actually have the knowledge to back it up. They don't understand the weight or the gravitas of what they're really saying and what it means for areas of the world that also impacts themselves. If you have the knowledge and if you have the understanding of just how dangerous these views are, you wouldn't be inflicting them on anybody. There is no way to do this that doesn't leave everyone feeling judged. Creating even an aesthetic standard of what a woman should look like only leads to the same judgment and harassment that led to you making the gym in the first place, you muppet. It's not okay, and people are rightly pissed. Excluding trans women from this absolutely indicates that you put trans women in the same danger zone as you do men, which is ridiculous because trans women are more likely to experience judgment and harassment, as you have so clearly demonstrated. I'm sorry, I'm absolutely not sorry, but if you have raised money under the guise of trans inclusivity and people have funded you based on that and then you reverse that after the funds have been donated, I do believe there should be repercussions for that. I'm not saying that I'm advocating for her to get arrested. As someone whose skin colour is systematically judged, I do not believe every lesson needs to be taught in the prison system, right? But this absolutely could be classified as fraud, so at the very least, give people their money back.
I can scrape that together. I mean, you know, I just have
Give me my money.
Okay. I mean, it's here somewhere. I just have to, you know, I just got to.
Give me my money.
Okay. My secret stash money. I put it.
Oh, but seriously, at a time where the rise and the attack of trans people is at literally such a high, allies, silence is compliance. Speak up. We need to speak up. Educate each other. Let people know what their microaggressions actually do to the people that are regularly affected. Be active in your allyship, okay? Ally is an action word. It's one of those words that are categorized as a noun, but really it should be a verb. To do, to be an ally is to be active. Be open to listening, to growing, to being corrected. There is no such thing as a perfect ally, and no one is asking you to be, but please try and be educated on what's going on in this world, because knowledge is power and only the ignorant are influenced. Please listen directly to trans people as they share their experiences. You know, my fiance is a trans man and he shares his experience all the time, but he's just one voice. There are so many stories on the internet that highlight trans joy and trans education, so please go and find them. To my trans siblings, I love you. I've got you. I know that the world's a crazy, scary place right now, but I can promise you that at least here, there will always be a safe space for you. Think of this as coming home, okay? Hug. Alright, that's the end of the video. I genuinely would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't already, our goal is to get 15k by the end of May, so please do hit subscribe. It helps out the channel. Like, comment, do whatever. I just want to learn and listen to all your views. Me and Leo have got some really cool things coming up, and obviously we are long distance in right now, and so we're in that process of finding stability before we can do like joint videos virtually. But we've got some really cool things coming up, so stick with us and there'll be some exciting things coming. Alright, drink water, eat carrots, and Leo will see you in the next video. Goodbye.